Well, hello there everyone. Out of all the aliens in Doctor Who, I find the Weeping Angels to be one of the creepiest. If you'd like to learn how to transform yourself into a lonely assassin, keep on watching. But don't turn your back, don't look away, and don't blink. After I block out my eyebrows, I base out my face, neck, and chest with a gray water-activated face paint from Diamond FX. The base doesn't need to be perfectly even because it's supposed to look like marble, which has a lot of color variation. Use the gray to outline where you want the top of the dress to be. Fill in the dress with a bit of white added to the gray. I use a light gray eyeshadow to start adding depth around the dress. I use the same gray to start shading around the hairline of my latex cowl, then I contour the cheeks, nose, the crease of my chin, and the corners of my mouth. I go in with a slightly darker gray on a smaller brush to darken the areas I've previously shaded. I also use this shade to add in the sad brows. I darken the shading around the dress and blend it out so it looks more diffused, like a shadow. I use a black eyeshadow on an even smaller brush to chisel out the brows and dress. I highlight the nose, cheeks, chin, and brows with white face paint on a damp sponge. To create the marbling, I start with a medium gray on a fluffy brush and use patting and sweeping motions to get some color variation. I look at a reference picture of a weeping angel so I can mimic the shapes in the marbling. I add marbling on the face as well. To get the finer veins in the marble, I use black eyeshadow on a detailing brush. I draw on the lips with a fine eyeliner pen and fill in the top with black face paint and the bottom with gray face paint. I use black eyeshadow to darken the shading below the inner brow, then I outline the dress with a black face paint. Now for the eyes, you could just pop in some white or gray contacts, but I prefer to paint them on. I outline the eye shape and eyelids with a black body paint on a very fine detailing brush. I also use the black to fill in the corners of the eyes so they look round. I use black eyeshadow on a detailing brush to soften the painted lines. I highlight the centers of the eyes and the eyelids with white face paint. This completes what I consider to be the pretty form of the Weeping Angel. Now time to create the scary form. I start by removing the makeup where my prosthetic will be so I have a clean canvas. I use Pros-Aid to apply prosthetics, and I like to start in the middle of the face during application and work my way outward so it ends up centered. This prosthetic is a latex brush up done over a sculpt on my life cast. This type of prosthetic doesn't perfectly fit your face, but it's a great technique for beginners since it doesn't require molding. My edges are pretty thin, but I still conceal them by stippling a thin layer of latex around the entire prosthetic. Latex is an awesome material, but before using it on anyone, do a patch test on their wrists to ensure they're not allergic, and never get it in hair unless you're okay with losing it. I powder the latex once it's dry and paint the edges with gray face paint. I contour the hollows of the cheeks with a medium gray eyeshadow. I use the same color to shade the wrinkles next to the mouth and the nose. I add some depth to the mouth by shading under the teeth and on the sides of the tongue. Then I highlight the centers of the teeth with white face paint. I use a dark gray eyeshadow to add in the nose wrinkles and to change the brows so they look more angry. I use the same color to add in the crow's feet and under eye wrinkles. Then I go back in and add some darker marbling. Eyeshadow won't show up very well on latex, so I use black body paint for that area. Thank you so much for watching my Weeping Angel tutorial. All the products I used will be listed in the description below. If you have any looks you'd like to see me create, let me know in the comments. To see more of my work, check me out on Instagram and Facebook, links in the description, and I will see you next time.